Many people think fasting is a magic switch, but the body's more strategic than that. It evaluates stress levels, energy availability, nutrient balance, and even your sleep before deciding whether burning fat is safe. And if one of these pillars is off, the body chooses survival over fat loss every single time. Imagine your body as a cautious guardian. If it senses instability, even subtle instability, it doesn't release stored fat readily. It waits. It protects. That's why two people can fast the exact same way and get completely different results. It's not about willpower, it's about communication between lifestyle, hormones, and metabolic flexibility. Fasting becomes ineffective not because fasting doesn't work, but because the body isn't receiving the signals it needs to switch into fat-burning mode. This video will expose the silent habits that block this signal, habits that most people unknowingly repeat every day. Some of them might surprise you, and one of them is something almost everyone does without realizing. Stay with me until the end, because understanding these patterns doesn't just improve fasting, it transforms how your body chooses to burn fat or store it. And you'll discover exactly why your efforts may have felt invisible until now. There's one point in this process where most people misunderstand what's really happening. Before we continue, comment yes if you've tried fasting before, or no if this is your first time. Habit 1 is the foundation of all the others. Fasting without knowing how your personal metabolism behaves. People often jump into 16 or even 20-hour fasts because they heard it works for someone else, but metabolic rates differ, hormone profiles differ, glucose responses differ, so the same fasting window can be fat-burning heaven for one person and fat loss paralysis for another. Your metabolism is not static. It adapts to your habits, your history, and even your stress patterns. When someone fasts aggressively without preparation, the body perceives a threat instead of an opportunity. This leads to lowered metabolic output, reduced NEAT movements, and a slowdown in fat mobilization. It's not the length of the fast that matters, it's whether the fast matches your metabolic capacity. Science shows that metabolic flexibility, the ability to switch between burning glucose and fat, is crucial for successful fasting. But if your diet, stress, or previous lifestyle weakened that flexibility, fasting becomes a shock rather than a rhythm. That's when people tell me, "I'm fasting, but I feel stuck." They're experiencing the consequences of habit 1, even though they don't see it. In this video, we'll break down how to rebuild this metabolic flexibility. But for now, remember, fasting works only when aligned with your personal metabolic readiness. Misalignment keeps the body in preservation mode, not fat-burning mode. Now let's reveal habit 2, a habit so common that most people don't even consider it harmful, allowing cortisol to dominate the fasting experience. Cortisol isn't the enemy, it's essential for energy regulation. But when cortisol is chronically elevated due to stress, poor sleep, emotional overload, or intense fasting, it blocks fat loss. Elevated cortisol increases glucose release, disrupts insulin, and tells the body, do not burn stored fat right now. Imagine waking up already stressed, rushing through your morning, fasting while dehydrated, and trying to power through your day. Cortisol is high the entire time. In this state, the body treats your fast as a threat, not a beneficial cycle. Studies consistently show that chronic cortisol elevation not only slows fat loss, but can even promote abdominal fat storage. This means fasting might be placing you in a high cortisol environment without you noticing. And this is exactly why two people can fast identically but get completely different results. It's not about willpower, it's about communication between lifestyle, hormones, and metabolic flexibility. Understanding habit 2 is essential because fat loss doesn't happen in a stressed body. And in the next subtitles, you'll see how other habits quietly amplify this hormonal imbalance. Here's a surprising twist. Many people think eating minimally after fasting intensifies fat loss. This is habit 3, and it quietly sabotages progress. After fasting, your body expects nourishment to stabilize hormones, restore amino acids, and reassure metabolism that energy is available. When you undereat, the body receives the opposite message: resources scarce, conserve energy, slow fat burning. When people break their fast with very low calories, insufficient protein, or nutrient-poor foods, they unknowingly extend the stress signal of the fast. Instead of reactivating metabolism, they reinforce survival mode. This leads to fatigue, slower recovery, weaker hormonal balance, and an increased likelihood of overeating later in the day, something research in appetite regulation repeatedly demonstrates. The body is intelligent. If you give it too little after fasting, it adapts by protecting fat reserves. That's why some people fast all day and still don't lose weight. They created the perfect biological storm for metabolic slowdown. Ironically, thinking they're eating clean after fasting is exactly what keeps them stuck. Correcting habit 3 doesn't mean overeating, it means eating strategically. And soon you'll see how this ties into inflammation, protein intake, and metabolic recovery. Sleep is one of the most underestimated fat loss factors, especially during fasting. Poor sleep increases cortisol, reduces insulin sensitivity, and disrupts leptin and ghrelin, the hormones responsible for hunger and fullness. When these hormones are out of sync, you unintentionally reinforce habit 3 because your appetite cues become chaotic, leading you to eat too little at the wrong times or compensate with the wrong foods. Insufficient sleep also slows your basal metabolic rate. Studies show that just one night of poor sleep can reduce fat oxidation the following day. So you may be fasting, but your body isn't in a fat-burning mood. It's in energy-saving mode. And this metabolic shift carries into your eating window, influencing how your body processes and stores nutrients. Beyond hormones, lack of sleep impairs decision-making. This means you're more likely to break your fast with foods that don't support your goals, fall into emotional eating, or skip protein, weakening metabolic signaling even further. These small mistakes compound the effect of habit 3 and make fasting feel harder than it should. This is why optimizing sleep is not optional for effective fat loss. It's a central pillar. And as we continue, you'll see how each habit quietly interacts with the next, forming a chain reaction that explains exactly why fasting sometimes stops working. Here is where habit 4 reveals itself, repeating the exact same fasting routine every single day. The human metabolism adapts quickly, much faster than most people think. When you fast in the same pattern without variation, the body interprets it as a predictable stress cycle and adjusts by lowering energy expenditure. This phenomenon, known as metabolic adaptation, works silently and gradually. Think of your metabolism like a skilled chess player. If it can anticipate your next move, it no longer needs to expend much energy responding. When fasting becomes too predictable, the body learns to coast, conserving calories instead of burning them. That's why some people fast all day and still don't lose weight. They created the perfect biological storm for metabolic slowdown. Ironically, thinking they're eating clean after fasting is exactly what keeps them stuck. Correcting habit 3 doesn't mean overeating, it means eating strategically. And soon you'll see how this ties into inflammation, protein intake, and metabolic recovery. Here is where habit 4 reveals itself, repeating the exact same fasting routine every single day. The human metabolism adapts quickly, much faster than most people think. When you fast in the same pattern without variation, the body interprets it as a predictable stress cycle and adjusts by lowering energy expenditure. This phenomenon, known as metabolic adaptation, works silently and gradually. Think of your metabolism like a skilled chess player. If it can anticipate your next move, it no longer needs to expend much energy responding. When fasting becomes too predictable, the body learns to coast, conserving calories instead of burning them. That's why some people fast all day and still don't lose weight. They created the perfect biological storm for metabolic slowdown. Ironically, thinking they're eating clean after fasting is exactly what keeps them stuck. Correcting habit 3 doesn't mean overeating, it means eating strategically. And soon you'll see how this ties into inflammation, protein intake, and metabolic recovery. Here we uncover habit 5, consuming too little protein during your eating window. Protein isn't just about muscles, it's the nutrient that signals your metabolism to stay active. It is essential for preserving lean mass, regulating appetite hormones, and supporting mitochondrial function. Without adequate protein, the body becomes less efficient at burning fat, even during fasting. Research shows that protein increases thermogenesis more than any other macronutrient. When protein is low, your metabolic rate can drop subtly but consistently. Over time, this compounds into stalled fat loss. Many people believe they're eating healthy, yet fail to reach even the minimum protein threshold needed to support recovery from fasting. Low protein also disrupts satiety signals. Ghrelin stays elevated, cravings increase, and overeating becomes more frequent, even if the person believes they are eating clean. And when protein is low, the body is less able to maintain muscle mass, which is crucial for metabolic strength. Habit 5 may be one of the most underrated blockers of fat loss. Fixing it not only improves fasting results, but also enhances strength, energy, and consistency. And soon, we'll reveal how emotional patterns can undo all 5 habits at once if left unchecked. Even though we introduced Habit 5 as a low-protein trap, there is another layer that people rarely talk about: ignoring genuine hunger signals. Many fasters confuse hunger with habit, boredom, dehydration, or emotional responses. When real physiological hunger is dismissed repeatedly, the body compensates by altering hormone patterns. Ghrelin rises unpredictably, leptin sensitivity drops, and appetite regulation becomes unstable. Ignoring true hunger leads to 2 extremes: overeating after the fast or undereating in fear of ruining the fast. Both outcomes trigger metabolic confusion. The body stops trusting the feeding cycle and begins conserving energy unpredictably. This instability can undo the benefits of fasting, no matter how disciplined someone is. Science shows that paying attention to internal cues, not rigid rules, is one of the strongest predictors of long-term fat loss. People who maintain weight successfully are those who respect hunger and fullness as biological communication, not obstacles. When fasters ignore this communication, they reinforce the very habits that stall results. Understanding this expanded dimension of Habit 5 allows you to rebuild fasting around biological wisdom rather than force. And once emotional patterns enter the picture, these hunger cues become even more critical. Emotions have a profound effect on fasting success. Stress, guilt, frustration, or feeling behind schedule can trigger reactions that reinforce all 5 silent habits simultaneously. Emotional eating spikes cortisol, disrupts metabolic rhythms, alters hunger hormones, and leads to nutrient-poor choices, exactly the combination that blocks fat loss. Many fasters underestimate emotional dynamics because they're subtle. You may feel slightly anxious during your fast, disappointed by slow results, or pressured to maintain discipline. These micro-emotions activate the amygdala, pushing the body toward instant comfort-seeking behaviors. Emotional rebound is not a sign of weakness, it's a neurobiological response deeply rooted in survival. Studies in behavioral nutrition show that emotional tension reduces dietary consistency, increases impulsivity, and weakens metabolic regulation. Even small emotional deviations can change the way your body responds to fasting for the rest of the day. This is why fasting works beautifully when your mindset is aligned and collapses when emotional conflict arises. Learning to regulate these emotional spikes becomes essential for overcoming all 5 habits. And as we move forward, you'll see how inflammation becomes the final invisible barrier that ties all these struggles together. Inflammation is the hidden thread connecting all 5 habits. When the body is inflamed, whether from poor sleep, stress, nutrient deficiencies, overtraining, or gut imbalance, fat loss becomes biologically harder. Inflammation reduces insulin sensitivity, impairs leptin function, increases cortisol, and slows down mitochondrial fat oxidation. It creates a biochemical environment in which fasting cannot reach its full potential. Silent inflammation often goes unnoticed because it doesn't always present obvious symptoms. You may feel normal, but still experience fatigue, cravings, water retention, or inconsistent hunger, all signs of metabolic friction. When these signals accumulate, they amplify the impact of habit 1 through habit 5, creating a loop that keeps fat loss stuck. Research consistently shows that chronic low-grade inflammation disrupts metabolic signaling and makes the body more resistant to releasing stored fat. This means even a well-structured fast may produce weak results if inflammation remains untreated. It blocks progress in a way few people recognize. Understanding this invisible fire is crucial because reducing inflammation can dramatically improve fasting outcomes. And now we're ready for the final chapter, where lifestyle patterns and strategy adjustments finally realign your body with fat-burning efficiency. In today's world, modern life has set up a perfect storm for the 5 habits to thrive unnoticed. From work stress to social media overload to sedentary behavior, everything about our environment promotes habit 1 through habit 5. It's almost as if our lifestyle is engineered to block fat loss, yet we rarely connect the dots between our daily choices and the metabolic consequences they bring. Take the average office worker, sitting for hours, eating processed snacks, undersleeping, and dealing with work-related stress. This environment elevates cortisol, reduces protein intake, disrupts natural hunger cues, and encourages emotional eating, all at once. Add in the pressures of trying to stick to a rigid fasting schedule without flexibility, and you have the perfect setup for metabolic stagnation. Research on lifestyle behaviors consistently points out that simply sitting too much or lacking sunlight can interfere with circadian rhythms, gut health, and fat-burning processes. As the body becomes more adapted to a comfortable but stagnant routine, it enters a low-energy state, making fat loss feel like an uphill battle. But here's the good news. Recognizing how modern life encourages these habits is the first step toward breaking free. In the next subtitle, we'll dive into the actionable steps you can take to begin realigning your body with its natural fat-burning potential. To truly break free from the grip of these 5 silent habits, you need a strategy that corrects each one. Habit 1 requires understanding your metabolic uniqueness and adjusting your fasting approach to match it. It's not about fasting longer, it's about fasting smarter. Customizing your fasting windows based on your unique needs, whether you're more insulin sensitive in the morning or evening, can make all the difference. For habit 2, manage your stress levels through mindfulness, deep breathing, and relaxation techniques. Sleep becomes the antidote to cortisol spikes. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of high-quality sleep to reset your body's stress response. This will also help with habit 3, where eating after your fast is about nourishing, not depriving. Focus on balanced meals rich in protein, healthy fats, and fiber to stabilize hormones and promote satiety. Habit 4 is corrected by introducing variety into your fasting and nutrition strategy. Changing fasting windows, incorporating refeed days, or cycling your fasting routine can help re-energize your metabolism and prevent adaptation. And for habit 5, focus on increasing your protein intake. Aim for at least 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight and include high-quality sources such as lean meats, fish, legumes, and plant-based proteins. This will help preserve muscle mass, promote fat burning, and keep your metabolism active. Incorporating these corrections isn't a one-time event. It's a process that requires awareness, adaptation, and patience. And once you implement these strategies, you'll notice the metabolic shift toward fat-burning efficiency. If you want to go deeper into how your body responds during fasting, choose your next video and keep learning. Watch The First Real Sign Your Body Has Entered Autophagy, or What Happens When Visceral Fat Finally Starts to Break Down. Both will expand everything we just covered. The moment you realize these 5 habits are not isolated but interconnected barriers to fat loss, everything changes. This understanding shifts the focus from what you're doing wrong to how you can start doing right. It empowers you to approach fasting not as a rigid rule, but as a flexible, personalized tool that works with your body's natural rhythms. When you respect your body's metabolic needs, listen to its true hunger signals, adjust your fasting routine to avoid adaptation, and fuel it with enough protein, you unlock a powerful fat-burning machine. This is the turning point where frustration is replaced with clarity and confusion gives way to a strategic, sustainable approach. By correcting these 5 habits, you're not just breaking barriers to fat loss, you're also creating a foundation for better health, energy, and longevity. Fat loss becomes a natural byproduct of a body that's finally functioning at its best. This process isn't a quick fix, but a long-term transformation. It's a journey that requires consistency, but the results are worth it. So, are you ready to break free from these silent barriers and finally experience the fat loss you've been working for? Now that you understand the habits that hold you back, the power to unlock your full potential is in your hands. The next step is yours. If this video helped you understand fasting on a deeper level, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this. And if you'd like to support this channel even further, consider using the Super Thanks. It truly helps us keep bringing science-based content like this.